So, how do you balance your blood sugar after you've had an indulgent meal or day or weekend or holiday season, and you want to get back on track? A lot of people immediately start restricting. They say, I'm going to eat whatever I want for the weekend and I'll start Monday morning, I'll get back on track. And in their head, that means restriction. Maybe they'll do a Whole30. Maybe they'll give up carbs for the day. Maybe they'll skip breakfast or say they're going to do intermittent fasting. These mental patterns wind up being more detrimental than just going back to the basics and immediately eating a very stabilizing breakfast following whatever happened the day before or the weekend before or the week before. So the words you use in relationship to how you are eating are really important. Getting back on track means that you've gotten off track. So identifying and defining what your track is in a compassionate way without judgment or criticism when you're not on that track is really important. There's a way that you enjoy eating that makes you feel good. Acknowledge that. Get real around what that pattern is. And then there are things that make us not feel so good. And maybe you overindulge and you regret it because it doesn't feel good. I'm not saying never overindulge. I do it occasionally. It's started looking a lot different, my version of overindulging these days, than it used to when I had a really poor relationship with food and sugar in particular in my younger days. So watching that language is really important. All you want to do is acknowledge that maybe you don't feel your best and you want to start feeling stable again. And the way to do that is to just start eating in a stabilizing way again. It's not to restrict. If you try to make up for calories here versus no calories there, either if you do it before an event or a planned indulgence or after, either way, you're gonna wind up consuming or binging or just not feeling good and then eating things you don't really have a cognitive grasp on. You're gonna let your elephant take over, the crazy person running around, or the crazy animal running around in your brain. That you can't really truly control. I don't like using the word control when it comes to food choices. It's not a good one. But we're talking about the elephant in your brain, which is a metaphor or a visualization that a lot of coaching and food people use. So what does that look like for me? What that used to look like for me was trying to restrict a morning after a big weekend and telling myself, yes, Monday I'm going to eat salads or juice all day or something. That's not ever going to happen because the second the second I give myself a rule, I immediately become rebellious and I break it. And I know that happens to a lot of people. And then your blood sugar goes out of whack. It's a psychological thing with the language you're using and the way you're approaching your relationship with food. And it's also a biological issue too, because then your blood sugar goes all over the place. You binge, you overindulge all over again, you skip breakfast and you're ravenous and hangry by lunch and somebody happens to come in with donuts to the office and you have 3, and you say, oh, screw it, I'm already off, I'll eat, this anyways. For me, what has really, really helped is just knowing that I need that breakfast the very next day. And it has to look like the same breakfast that felt really good and balancing, that I knew I didn't have cravings after, before I went on the indulgent vacation or the party or the birthday. So I go right back to that breakfast I know really works for me. And my favorite combination is a 1/4 cup of rolled oats, a 1/4 cup of wild blueberries and or diced apple, a 1/4 cup of a variety of nuts and seeds of some sort. Occasionally I like those nut-based granolas that are all nuts mixed in there, or a mixture of walnuts and pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds. Sometimes I do drizzle it with honey, and I will add occasionally other fibrous elements to it, like freshly ground flax that I grind myself, or chia seeds. And I have a hemp fiber powder that I like to add to get some extra fiber into, because fiber is so important. Eat more fiber. That with some almond milk or cashew milk. It's very satiating to me. It really leaves me satisfied because I do like sweet profiles, and I am drawn to wanting sweet profiles. When I have a little bit of fibrous and fatty and protein full with just a touch of sweetness from that honey or the fruit, it satisfies like the happy, ooh, yay, I got my treat feeling in my mouth, but it also really satisfies my digestion in my belly. It's really easy and for me to digest. And it keeps me craving free until lunch, where I don't get hangry. And then when I am ready for my lunch, again, I go back to those fiber and fat. I really am very determined now that I have latched onto this pattern that feels really good to make sure I make my breakfast and my lunch these very fibrous and have some protein-rich sources in there from eggs or nuts. At lunch, I will often have chicken or some leftover protein from what I had at dinner the night before that I toss on top of a salad with chickpeas, or the crunchy chickpeas that I really like, those seasoned spiced crunchy chickpeas. I really do come back to this palette of protein, fiber, and sort of an indulgent sensation to it. A fatty source that's really creamy, or that's just satisfying in just that right, perfect way for me. And maybe I will, after lunch, throw a little bit of dark chocolate in there because I want kind of like a dessert or something. This pattern works so well for me and makes me feel so grounded, and really has been the key in not binging on sweets. That and the psychological aspect of the words and language I'm using around eating sweets has been very helpful. Some other things that are really helpful, again, around this language is eliminating the shame that comes with these types of eating patterns or disordered eating patterns. And just saying, you know what, I wonder why that happened. Getting curious, and starting to pick apart the things that trigger you, noticing situations that happen before those binges, starting to identify situations and feelings and maybe people or your environment, looking for little clues in those days that you have that eating pattern, and what happens after. Did it satisfy you? Did it do what you needed it to do in that moment? This is how I started thinking about my relationship with sugar myself. And I'm so happy to report that I have not binged on sugar in years, and it feels like magic has happened. So I hope this is helpful for somebody out there. If you want to talk more about it, please look me up. greaterhealth.com. You can find me, to send me a message there, or book an appointment with me through a link that is on that site. I'm happy to try and help you guys figure out your relationship with your food and getting your blood sugar in control too. Never medical advice. It's always just discovery and education here and there to clear up any confusion. But as always with coaching, the pathway towards your success lies within your hands. And I'm here to help guide you as you want to explore different possibilities for your body and help you understand how your body works as well, so that you can enjoy all the things you hopefully want to enjoy without the mental struggle and just getting to a place that feels happy and healthy, because those two things can really truly coexist. So good luck to you. I hope you had breakfast this morning and it was a good one.